From CNN Politics, Trump makes a frenetic election push instead that to highlight his COVID denied. From CNN channel, President Donald Trump final spin to show up state he won 4 years ago led him Tuesday into the epicenter of the America quickening viral third in Wisconsin. As the state record second day spike in COVID-19 case and death crystallized his administration failure that could end his political career. A week from the night when America could learn the identity of its next president depending on the prolonged mail-in voting count and possible legal challenge, Trump created a crowd packed together with few masks worn. He did so as Bagel State hospitals are critically understaffed and facing the threat of being overwhelmed by COVID-19 patients. But on a June 4th night, the president proved an alternative reality he bet will win him re-election. Build the old road to the 270 electoral vote with CNN interactive map. Trump three-state swing Tuesday. He also visited Michigan and Nebraska, reflect the slate of hand. He using a week from election day creates a false impression that the pandemic is over, but is over as it gets worse each day. We are turning the corner. We are rounding the curve. We will run quit the virus, Trump said in West Salem, Wisconsin, as the U.S. piled up record number of new infections that have added half a million new cases in the last week alone. More than 226,000 Americans have died. The current death rate is 800 per day, and experts warn the trend is only increasing ahead of a grim winter. But in his closing election pitch, Trump is denying the disastrous impact of the gravest challenge facing the country, holding the potential super spreader when that put his own supporter and anyone they meet a risk, and yet again prioritize his political survival above his duty to guard public health. Why Trump campaign in Wisconsin that all the media talk about the COVID? The state Democratic government Tony Aver won Tuesday. There is no way to sugarcoat it. We are facing an urgent crisis and there is an imminent risk to you and your family. Andrew Plum, Secretary Design of Wisconsin Department of Health Service warned the increasing case and our increase in the death today are the largest single day increase we've seen throughout the course of the pandemic. We must take significant and collective action. Public disquiet about the president handling of the worst public health crisis in 100 years as a contribute to a situation and which Trump appeared to be struggling to hang on to state like Wisconsin, which he won in 2016 and is seeking the shore of Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Iowa, with more than 68.5 million Americans having voted so far, surpassing half the total vote 4 years ago. Time is running out to change and dynamic of the race in which he trailing Democratic nominee Joe Biden in key battle round. Yes, Trump drawing energy from his crowd seemed upbeat Tuesday prediction a great red verb. Slamming poll and promising an even bigger electoral career upset than in 2016. He was pundit who said back then he can't get to 270, and they were right. We got 306. If Trump wins next week in another upset, it will suggest that enough voters think his cultural connection with the U.S. heartland in nationalist approach is more important than his downplaying of the war's domestic crisis since World War II and his daily forest of life. He will have made good his vote to 5 million of new Trump voters who escaped posters. Still, there is so far no sign in national or state poll that the president is building the kind of less momentum that drove his shock win over Hillary Clinton. Biden goes off the offensive. The Biden the Biden travel is telling the story of the Democratic campaign that believe that it has more route to 270 electoral votes than the president. The former white president bragged to heal a sick and divided nation in symbolic surrounding in the spa town of Warm Springs, Georgia, where President Franklin Roosevelt, who guided the country through the earlier crisis, once saw really from paralysis caused by polio. Many warner has is gone too far. Biden asked in the state Democrat have not won since Bill Clinton carried in 1992, but think could be in play this year. Have we passed the point on no return? Has the heart of this nation turned to stone? Biden said, I don't think so. I refuse to believe it. I know this country, I know our people, and I know we can unite and heal this nation. Biden got another active on Tuesday from his former boss, ex-president Barack Obama, who delivered another attack on his successor that was dripping with mockery and decided to dry out Democratic base voter in Florida. Obama ridiculed Trump for turning the White House, perhaps the most secure building in the country, into COVID hot zone. He said this at one his well COVID, and complaining he just of the COVID media coverage. Obama said at dry in Orlando, if he had been focused on the COVID, the beginning case would not be reaching new record high across the country this week. Obama is set to join Biden on the campaign trail in the joint appearance during the final weekend and election season. To people familiar with the Pranto scene, as Trump pulled out of the stop, First Lady Melania Trump made her from thorough campaign appearance in another swing state, Pennsylvania, in bid to improve her husband's lead stand among female voters. The Democrats have chosen to put their own agenda ahead of the American people well-being, she said, while also offering to citizens like her who have suffered from the coronavirus. In reality, however, Trump has repeatedly denied the seriousness of the pandemic, predict fall, and repeatedly that it will soon disappear, and advocates said opening that sparked a Sunbelt said this summer is in apparent effort to fire up the economy that is vital for his re-election. The Trump campaign courting of women voters, particularly those in the suburbs, and have been undermined by the president where he used somewhat patronizing language in Wisconsin that betrayed brother in Archer view of the suburban marriage between men and women. I'm also getting your husband. They want to get back to work. We're getting your husband back to work, Tom said in Wisconsin. When will America know who won? Many Americans would want to know whether the result of the election will be clear next Tuesday night, especially since the president had a repeat won the election is unfair and pressed to challenge it in the Supreme Court. If Biden convert his lead in the polls to victory in the swath of swing states, the trend of the election could become clear early on. If he captures states like Florida and North Carolina, for instance, he will effectively close up Trump's path to 270 electoral votes. But if the president mount comeback is a battleground state, the red could come down to states like Michigan and Pennsylvania, where mail-in voting could last for several days after November 3. That is the moment when the chance of the dispute, election rights, and beating legal challenge become a risking risk. Striking and ominous note from Democrat Justin Brett Kavanaugh sets the battle line for how the Supreme Court might adjudicate election based brought by Republicans in ruling in Monday night. Under the U.S. Constitution, the state court do not have a blank check to rewrite state election law from federal election. Kavanaugh was in a footnote of his concurring opinion to a decision that reject a Democratic bid to allow counting of mail-in vote in Wisconsin within 6 days after election day. His language mirrors that of Trump, who has won, with no factual basis that an election that does not produce a result is in itself evidence of a fraudulent vote.